Good morning, everyone, and thank you guys so much for joining today. Heading into the market, we can see it falling just a little bit in pre-market, especially over the past couple of hours. The SPY tried to rebound last night and even really early this morning, but we could see as we got closer to open, we're definitely seeing that selling pressure kick in. Overall, we are coming off of a pretty big red day from the market yesterday. I mean, the QQQ was down nearly 3%. The SPY was down 2%. So just keep that in mind. The VIX is starting to rise a little bit in pre-market, but still is definitely a little bit lower than yesterday. So Tom, heading into today, what are you watching? What's on your mind?
Yeah, I was really looking at the VIX, like you pointed out, Mike, and it's coming back pretty strong today as the SPY is starting to dip back down. But man, if for some reason in pre-market, the SPY was really kind of pointing back to the upside, and I'm glad it started to pull back down. But I'm afraid we might hit a support down here. We're like right around the low of yesterday, right around 433. If we end up hitting around there, around 434 and bouncing back up, then I think we might see a little bit of a recovery today. But I still think that the market looks way more bearish to me than it does bullish. And looking at it on the daily, you can really see how that big candle extended down yesterday. And I think all we need to do is finally just break this big support at like 433. And I think we might get a big move down. So really watch out for that today. I think that there's a higher chance for it to go down than there is for it to go up. But a lot of people might disagree with that. Mike, give me your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I would just say objectively, I would say the market's more likely to rise than it is to fall. Like, you can just look back on, any chart for that matter, like SPY, QQQ, whatever, and we can definitely see it rises a lot more than it falls. So, looking at it objectively, I would definitely say that. But given these current market conditions and everything, I'm more like neutral than anything.
Yeah, I could see that. Neutral is probably the best stance to have, to be honest. And, just going and looking at stuff like the VXX, I'm really hoping to see that breakout today. So hopefully the SPY does fall down for my sake. But, I know that there's lots of plays out there that are going to the upside. And man, looking at a lot of stocks, I know that a lot of people have been eyeing up Aapl. And look at this right at open, Mike. We have a big red candle coming right into Aapl. Hopefully this is not a continuation of yesterday. And Aapl will probably bring the market down if it continues with these huge red candles at open like this. And looking at Microsoft, looks like they might follow Aapl. And man, Microsoft on the daily, Mike, has been looking terrible. They're really starting to pull down, and it's not looking good for a lot of these stocks. And I'm pretty worried for the overall market right now. And then we also have Powell. He was getting hit yesterday by the Senate, and he was testifying, kind of made the market a little bit shaky there too. So there's just a lot of different factors with the market right now. And there's rates, there's inflation, there's Powell, there's so many different things. There's even the infrastructure bill later this week.
And then just plain old profit taking too. So definitely keep that in mind. And then we have, I just want to welcome everyone to the stream really quickly. So thank you for joining Raphael, Mac, Alex, Jamie, Mike, Rick, Jorge, Vicky, Keisha, and the other Alex. We have a lot going on in the market so far. One of the top stocks that are moving right now is Boeing. It's up like 3.5%, and it had a really, really good open. We can see it broke right above like that 225 level. We're retesting it right now, but talk about like a great recovery from yesterday.
Yeah, that was actually a great move up, and we hit right around that resistance around 228, and we'd be up a lot higher than 3.5% if we were up at 228 where we were at those highs today. That's actually a really good recovery and nice gap to the upside. Also a good move off the 1,000 SMA on the 5-minute yesterday. Not too bad, and I'm really glad that they held that 220 area, or at least that they got back above it, because that was such a key support for them, and I was kind of worried that they broke that yesterday, but I'm glad to see it go back up there. And I would think that we might hold up today, even though there's this big red candle right now. I would think this might just consolidate, and it looks like we might end up holding up. Boeing on the daily has been looking great, Mike. It actually has been recovering up for like the past 2 weeks now. It's actually looking like a pretty good recovery play. I wonder how these other ones like RCL, CCL, and some of the others are doing, and it looks like they're actually starting to go down a little bit.
Yep. All right, so we have Alex saying he's watching for a position in Lucid. Their Air sedan is actually really nice. So, Tom, I know we were looking at some of their products like a couple weeks ago. Like, what do you think of Lucid? I know that they're a little bit more speculative than like a Tesla, you can say, but what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I actually really like them personally. I actually like the cars a lot. I agree with him. Their sedans are actually really nice, and they're pretty high quality. Here, I'll pull some up for you guys. You guys can see here. This is pretty much what they look like, and it's a pretty cool looking car. I will say it looks nice. It's nice on the inside. The only problem with it is that they are a little bit expensive, but Teslas were pretty expensive in the beginning as well. So as they get going, I think that they'll come out with some cheaper versions, but I do agree. I like them. And for me, I think it's a great EV company. I don't think they're going to go anywhere. And I think that they're actually going to gain some traction, unlike some of these other ones that, kind of like Nikola Motors, how they just had a lot of issues for a long time. And, they had that stuff like with that fake engine in the truck and everything like that. So, there's just been a lot of these EV companies that haven't really moved too much, or they haven't really done too much yet. But I love how Lucid's starting to really get production going, and these cars are looking pretty nice.
Gotcha. So I just checked Lucid's market cap, and it's around like $39 billion. Tesla is, let me pull it up. Tesla has a market cap of like $750 billion. And then GM has a market cap of like $76 billion. So the point is that Lucid is still a relatively small company that has a lot of, I guess you can say, market share to gain, but also like market cap to gain. So if they end up doing well, they like their stock price can 5 to 10x depending on what happens. For me, I just feel like it's a risky bet that'll either, pay 5 to 10x or it's going to go to zero. So that's just how I feel about it, because, at the end of the day, like with Tesla, there's Teslas all over the road. With GM and Ford, they've been producing cars for a while now. And while Lucid has a bunch of smart people in their company and a bunch of smart people working for them, they're still like, they're not, you know what I mean? Like they're just nowhere near like the advanced level of like Tesla, GM, or like even Ford or any of these other car makers that have been around for a while.
Yeah, I'd agree with that too. And just looking at Lucid, like you said, they're like a brand new company, so it's going to be really really risky. And like honestly, like I would say, like if I had, let's just say I had $10,000 to invest right now, I would probably only throw like 2 or 3 thousand into Lucid shares personally. Like I wouldn't go all in or anything like that on this company. Like Mike said, it's going to be risky. It could like 5x for you though, which is awesome. And I think that there's a pretty high potential of them doing well. I'm not saying they're going to 5x, but I think that in the long term, I like them better than I like stocks like Workhorse, for example. I think that they're a lot better than Workhorse. But looking at it though, I like what Mike said. They're definitely no Tesla yet, and they're definitely not any Ford. But there's actually been a lot of interesting stuff with Ford and GM lately, Mike. I mean, they've been doing a lot of good stuff, and Ford's CEO came out with a lot of good numbers the other day, helped really push the company up. But he also said that he could see the company almost doubling or tripling over the next few years with the way these EV stocks are going. And man, that's a pretty big statement from Ford's CEO. And I would expect GM to kind of follow along. So if you like Lucid, I mean, honestly, maybe just throw like 1,000 into Lucid and then just kind of diversify and grab some Ford and GM too. I think that would be a good way to go.
Yeah, I mean, there's a saying that a rising tide lifts all boats. And, I know for sure that the EV sector in general is just growing so much. And, if you just look around you, like the world is just shifting to more electric vehicles, and in many different aspects. So, I'm very bullish on that sector itself. For me, it's hard to buy Tesla at these prices. So, like, I've been looking at NIO, Lucid, GM, Ford, and stuff like that. Because I just feel like the sector has so much room to grow, and I just feel like Tesla is just a little bit too overbought right now. And I know some people are definitely going to disagree with that, and Tesla's breaking out, which is awesome to see. But, I'm really, really considering NIO, and, like we were talking about Lucid, even though it's a riskier bet, it has that potential to explode.
Yeah, it does. And a lot of these EV companies are pretty risky, and people love to trade these stocks. And guys, let us know in the chat what your favorite EV company is. I know that there's lots of speculative ones out there like Workhorse, Lucid, NIO. I know Tesla is a pretty big one, but there's a lot more than that. So definitely let us know. It'll be pretty interesting to read those comments. But you're right, Mike. Tesla's actually looking pretty good today. I know yesterday, or not yesterday, but on Monday, they actually hit that $799 resistance or $800 resistance up there. What do you think the chances are of us getting back up to 800? Like, do you think that there's a possible chance of us breaking out today, or you think that we're going to get rejected again? It's just that 800 resistance is pretty hard. It's just, I have a bad feeling we might not be able to break that, at least for the next couple of weeks. Maybe after a couple of weeks of movement or consolidation, we might be able to break it. But I just feel like right now the momentum just isn't there.
Yeah, so the market's pricing in about a 54% chance of touching 800 between now and this Friday. So this
That's
Friday
actually pretty good.
So it seems like around a 50-50 chance of just touching it. So I guess that's pretty reasonable. The market normally is pretty accurate with those things. The options market's pretty efficient. So I would say right around 50%.
Yeah, that's actually not too bad. I figured with it being 20 points away, it might be a little worse chances than that, but 50% actually pretty surprising there. But I think that there is some potential, like you said there. Lots of people love Tesla, but hopefully we see it end up breaking out. It's honestly having a lot of problems breaking 785 today for some reason. It's almost like triple topped here in pre-market, hit it right around open, and we're seeing a big red candle come in. So hopefully the buyers come back into this one, because right now it looks like the sellers are kind of winning the day so far today, and kind of heading back to the SPY. The SPY is actually starting to turn over a little bit more too.
All right. So speaking of the major indices, we have Alex saying, "What about the QQQ? What are some levels to look out for?"
Yeah, I mean, I would say personally on the intraday levels here and the daily, the QQQ has been breaking down pretty hard. And I would say this 360 support, or like you could say 359.35, which is the low, somewhere between there and 360 is going to be, I think, a pretty good support for today and for tomorrow. But for right now, if we end up breaking that to the downside, if we see Tesla start to really fall off and we see Apple and Microsoft continue going down and the QQQ ends up breaking 360, I think that we could see a big drop to the downside. But definitely look at 360. I think that's going to be the next support to look at. As far as levels to the upside, 364 seems to be a pretty good upper resistance.
All right. And then we have Miles saying, "What's up?" and Spacely saying, "Top of the morning." Thanks for joining, guys. Let us know what stocks you're watching. And then we have Sean coming in saying, "It's hard to find anything worse than Donkey Horse." Yeah, it's been struggling a lot. And honestly, ever since they had that news of like the SEC investigation or whatever it was, I just took it off my watch list.
Yeah, me too. I mean, that was a pretty bad thing to hear. It really dropped the stock. And unfortunately, it's just continued to move badly ever since then. On the daily, it is kind of bouncing off support here around $7, and it's also on the 1,000 SMA. So, I mean, it's not in the worst spot if you want to buy it off support, but I just don't personally like it with that investigation and with everything right now. Now, they could be good in the future once their company gets going a little bit more. Kind of like Lucid, they're kind of like really in the beginning of their in the beginning stages right now. And if they do end up getting going well, then I think it could end up working out. But for right now, like Mike said, it's just off the radar.
All right, and then we have Sal saying, "Good morning. Can you check out ORMP? It's been a great stock. I have a few shares. Thanks." So I've never heard of this company. It looks like a pharmaceutical company. So these are normally pretty volatile. It was a penny stock like a couple months ago, but either way, it has a ton of momentum.
Yeah, it really does. And it actually broke out to all-time highs. Well, maybe not all-time highs, but the highs over the past few years a little while ago. And it actually had better all-time highs back in like 2014. So going back to the daily, though, it actually is moving pretty well, like you said, Mike. And hopefully it starts to break out because, like I said, it broke out up to $24. And then it kind of had a little bit of a fake out there. So hopefully we can get back above.
Yeah, so, I mean, it is really breaking out right now. I would say there is a resistance level right around 25, and then I would say another major one right around 30.
Yeah, definitely. And whenever you look back in the past, like back at 2014 levels, those levels were pretty large back then. But, it's going to be pretty volatile on the way up. And just keep in mind that was a long time ago.
Yep. And then, Tom, what are you thinking with this Boeing action? We're looking to potentially break out above, what was it? Monday's high? Tuesday's high?
Yeah, Monday's high of 228.60, it looks like, or you could just say 228, but that's actually some great movement to the upside, Mike. I mean, I know that you've personally been talking about Boeing a lot since it was around that 210 support, and they're getting some great moves to the upside, Mike. And like you said, if they start to break out above that high of Monday, like 228. I mean, I could see him running up to possibly up to like 240 or that upper resistance around there.
Good to see it. And then we have Edwin saying, thanks for the insight, guys. Love the hard work. Well, we appreciate you joining the stream. And if you have any stocks on your radar, just let us know. And then we have Raj saying GM. So good morning. And then let's take a look at GM anyways. So it's up 0.3%. It's on a great uptrend, actually. And I actually like this one for like the next couple weeks or so.
Yeah, and I really hope that it can turn around today because, I mean, it had a great day at open yesterday and then just got rejected right away. So I don't know what was going on there, but I really hope that it consolidates today and starts to get back up there. I know that GM and Ford have had a lot of good momentum lately. And like Mike said, it could end up doing good for the next couple weeks. And Ford's CEO, I should say, just came out with all those great numbers and great outlooks and everything. And I would think that General Motors would, they might not have the same numbers, but I'm sure that they would share some of that kind of market gain there, especially like with the EV sector and stuff. So I like both of them. I think they both could end up doing pretty well. They both are kind of by resistance right now. I see General Motors, Mike, having resistance maybe like right around 55. I don't know what you're seeing, but as long as we can break above that, I think it'll be pretty good.
Yeah, I would say 55 is the main level to watch. All right, and then we have Jamie saying, can you check out CEI? So this one's been exploding over like the past month or so. I've seen some people have made crazy gains on it. It's definitely not a play I would hold for the long term, as we can see how bad this long-term chart is. Like, Tom pulled up a Max Weekly, and it was down so much we couldn't even see it.
Yeah, look at this from back in the past. It must have split a lot of times, Mike. Look at this. It says the high was like 29 million or no, 292,968,000. Like what? Yeah, that's some crazy chart movement there. I wonder how many times they had to split for that to happen.
Yeah, I mean, that's brutal. So obviously it's not a long-term play. I don't know what's going on with this one, to be honest. I haven't been following it too much. I just saw a lot of people talking about it. I would assume either a short squeeze or some catalyst, but it has a lot of momentum, and we are getting pretty close to that resistance right at $3.50. But I'll say that I don't like it. Just to be honest with you, like maybe for like quick, like very quick in and out day trades, but I really wouldn't hold this one. It went from 33 cents to $3.50 over like the past month.
Yeah, and if it holds this $3 support, it might be pretty good. Like if you want to buy some shares here and maybe throw a stop loss at like 295 or right below all these supports at 3, I think it'll end up being, maybe decent in the short term, like Mike said, but I don't think I'd hold it for the long term either. But, it can have a lot of hype to it. And obviously, like if you would have been trading it earlier this week or last week, you could have got some pretty good gains on it so far. And right now there's a lot of momentum at open. Look at this on the 1 minute, actually. It's starting to pop back up.
Yeah, and then we have Max saying, wow, Lucid is starting to pump. So, yes, it is. It's up 11% already, and the market's only been open for like 16 minutes.
Yeah, it really has. Only like 16 minutes, and Lucid broke that high of 27, Mike. That's actually a great move. And look at Lucid on the daily. They're actually setting up pretty good. And, they've hit this upper resistance around $30 like 3 or 4 times. And I would say maybe this might be the final break that we need to get up. Wall Street Bets has been really getting behind Lucid a lot lately too. And I really think a lot of people are starting to see this one as a decent company. And I feel like a lot of people are starting to buy shares down here and starting to really acquire this one. So hopefully we can see this stock start to go up. And I'll tell you what, right now they have all these expensive cars. Whenever they finally release, I think, an affordable price car, I think this company will start to do a lot better and maybe gain a lot more traction. But for right now, the main thing is we just want to see some nice production and some nice sales out of this company. I think if we get some good numbers like that, this thing has the potential to really explode. We just need those nice numbers, I think.
Yep, I'll agree with you on that one. And then we have Alex saying Palantir looks terrible. So, yeah, it's been really struggling over the past week. Lots of sellers coming in. It's more of like a longer-term play for me. But yeah, it's definitely struggling. They are getting pretty close to that support right around 25. One good thing to keep in mind is Palantir normally is just very volatile. Like we can see last week, it actually, so like if we look on September 7th, it was like slowly breaking out, and then it had a horrible red day, and then a couple days later it made back all of its losses, and then it continued to break out above 29, and then it crashed down to 26, and then it rose back up to 29, and now it's down to 25. So like the point is that Palantir is just all over the place, and it's just a very volatile stock, but it definitely does suck to see this negative movement.
Yeah, it's not good. And, people are really looking at that 30 resistance and hoping that we could get, maybe back up there or finally break it. And man, it sucks to see it staying in this range. It seems like that there's a range like between 27 and, like 22 or 25. And like you said, it's just unfortunate to see right now. But, the good news is if you like Palantir for the long term, it's giving you more opportunities to buy shares. But hopefully it can start to get back up there for the short term because it's not looking good right now. But, I like how you pointed out that 25 support, Mike. I think if that holds up, that could make for a pretty good turnaround maybe over the next few days.
And then look at UPST. This thing's not going down without a fight.
Yeah. Wow, Mike. Yeah. I was really hoping to see that sell-off continue from yesterday. But, I mean, once again, what can we say? It's coming right back to the upside. I mean, who knows? We might be at all-time highs by the end of today, Mike.
Yep. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I mean, 350, who knows?
Yep. All right, and then we have Jorge saying AMD is testing the 100 support again. So AMD, yeah, it's lingering around that level. Honestly, like we might see a bounce, but it's not really worth the risk for me. But yeah, I mean, we're definitely testing a pretty huge support level.
Yeah, we are. That $100 is going to be pretty big. If we break below that, I'd be pretty worried about AMD actually in the short term. That's not going to be a good thing to see if we break below 100, but it seems like right now it's holding up pretty decent. So hopefully this ends up holding up and AMD can get back to the upside. I think that there's a small chance it might hold up, but I mean, if we keep seeing the QQQ fall off and if all these other companies like Qualcomm, MU, for example, MU had a really bad night yesterday with earnings. Like if we keep seeing bad moves like MU had yesterday, it's just going to keep dragging these semiconductors down. And, MU is recovering up today though nicely, which is nice. But man, those earnings yesterday, they had good numbers on the EPS, but it was just all those production delays and all that stuff right now with the chip sector. Just all those big delays right now are just causing so many problems for all these companies.
Yeah. All right, and then we have Vicky asking for levels on Aapl. So AAPL, it is in the green by 1.5%, and it's looking pretty decent. What levels do you have?
I actually have a great support on Aapl at 142, and I love this upper resistance that we're at 144. Like if we could start to break out above 144, I think we could fill this small gap that we filled the other day from 144 somewhere up to around 145. And I just think it looks pretty good. It had a great move off that 142 support. And I actually have a little bit of a range here. Like I said, 142 to 144 is a pretty good little range there on Aapl. And I'm just waiting for a breakout, but out of one of those levels. And I would think it would maybe go to the upside, just given what I'm seeing today. But, it could always hit this resistance, then start to go back down. So definitely be careful. But I think 142 and 144 looks good for the short term. And for the long term, I would say for the longer term, I'm seeing a better support around like 140.
All right, and then we have Nye asking about AAL. So the airlines are down a little bit today. It doesn't really have too much momentum in either direction, so it doesn't really look like too much of a play to me right now. Because it's just, like there's no momentum really in either direction. But there is a support right around 21, and then another pretty big support right around like $21.20. And, I'm just really looking at airlines and more, like even more so cruise lines to pop back up over like the next couple weeks.
Yeah, and these stocks had some great moves to the upside, and I'm not surprised to see them kind of consolidating now after having those great moves back up. Like with Carnival, you can see like we started around like 23. We had a great move like all the way up to 27, which isn't bad at all for a stock like Carnival. So just don't be surprised to see a little bit of consolidation. They usually don't go straight up without having some type of consolidation in between there. So I'm not too surprised to see this at all. And like Mike said, we're definitely look at it more for the next few weeks. It might fall for the next like 5 days or so, but I feel like it could end up recovering pretty well over the next, especially like 6 months to a year. I think that CCL might be able to maybe get back up above $30 and hopefully back up towards those pre-COVID levels at some point over the next couple of years.
All right, and then we have Andrew C saying, why are option spreads reversed? So, not sure what you mean by that one. So, if you could give a little bit more clarification, we can definitely help you out. And then we have Rome saying, good morning, Stocked Up family. Good morning, Rome, and thanks so much for joining the stream. Let us know what stocks you have on your radar. And then we have Vicky saying, what's the resistance after 144 on Aapl? Please, Tom.
Yeah, let's go look at it. AAPL, let's find that next resistance for you. So as far as 144, looks like we actually just broke that to the upside. So it looks like Apple's moving pretty well. Let's go ahead and say, yeah, I'm definitely seeing another resistance here at 144.75, Vicky. So look at that intraday. You could also just say right around 145 as well, but it looks like 144.75 has had a few bounces off of that. So I would really look at that. If we start to break that and we break 145, I'm not seeing another big resistance until we get up towards like 147. I think that'll be the next big one is 147, but definitely look today intraday, Vicky, at 144.75.
All right, good stuff. And then Andrew said, look at the AMD puts. So I just looked at the AMD options chain, and everything seems fine to me. So let me know what you're seeing. I can definitely take a look at it. But Tom, let's take a look at Netflix really quickly. They're up like 3.5%, and they're moving with a lot of momentum.
Yeah, this actually had a great breakout today, up above 590. And this was actually my free day trade in the Discord. And if you guys aren't in there yet, definitely check out the link down below in the description. It's the first link at the top. But I called this out as our free day trade today. And man, Netflix really exploded to the upside. This is a pretty great move all the way up to 605. And man, that's a pretty awesome thing to see there.
All right, so looking at everything, Netflix definitely has a lot of momentum, but it seems like all the hype is with Lucid right now. It's really popping off. Now up 13.5%. We are breaking out. What are your thoughts on this one? Because, I know back in, I guess you could say, the beginning of 2021, this thing just exploded. It went from $10 up to 65 in a couple months, and it is moving pretty quickly.
Yeah, it is. I mean, this is a great move up, and I think that a lot of this has to do with Wall Street Bets getting in, Mike. I know it's had a lot of attention on there over the past couple months and couple weeks, and it just seems like a pretty good play. It looks like it might be breaking that high of last Wednesday sometime pretty soon. If we could break out above 28, I think Lucid will have a pretty nice move to the upside, Mike, and I think we'll eventually test $30 over the next couple days. But, I'm with you. There's a lot of momentum coming in here, and it seems like this has been the hot stock of the past few weeks, and it's moving well every morning. It seems like, at least even if it goes down, it breaks supports and then has good moves down. It's not it's not having some crazy moves or anything. The technicals are going pretty well for it as well. So it's just making for a nice stock to trade. And I would not be surprised if we ended up having a big move up with this one, Mike. And, it's an EV company. It's starting to really get going. I know they had some good news a couple weeks ago with their batteries and stuff like that. And that's all good stuff. They're innovating, and it seems like they're trying to really get their name out there. And it seems like it's working right now.
Awesome to see. So Palantir's back in the green. It's up almost 1.5%. It looks like a lot of stocks are recovering back up. The SPY just had a couple huge candles, and it looks like we're rocketing to the upside.
Yeah, that's actually a great thing to see with Palantir. And wow, look at SPY off that 434 support down there. Hit right off of that and came right up. You're right. That's some pretty strong candles here, especially on the 1 minute back to the upside. And looks like we might be retesting this. We're going to be retesting 437, which is that pre-market high pretty soon. And man, if we break 437, I could see a nice move up to 439 or maybe even 440 today, Mike. I mean, this recovery looks pretty good. And, like you said, a lot of stocks are starting to turn around today and get back in the green. And some of the big ones are like Boeing, Netflix, and a couple others. They're having great days so far.
Yeah. And then we have Rick saying, who's going to buy a $160,000 Lucid Air? I don't see it. So, that's a pretty good question. And I think that can bring up a lot of discussion. So,
they actually have another one going now for 70,000, but yeah. I still feel it. But they are coming out with cheaper ones.
Gotcha. So, I mean, I think the Tesla Roadster is supposed to be $250,000, but I know that there's a ton of huge differences between, a Lucid Air and a Tesla Roadster, but I don't know. I think that's a great question, Rick, and I feel like people also felt that way about Teslas when they were relatively new. Like, I know Teslas are a lot cheaper than, the Lucid Airs and even their other vehicles, but I don't know. I feel like it's just something we're gonna have to figure out, like, we'll notice as Lucid gets closer to like more like mainstream production and sales and stuff like that. But I don't know. I mean, I can see it. I mean, there's so much hype in the EV industry, and honestly, like, I've heard a lot of good things about Lucid. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's really hard to say. I'm with you, Mike. It's a touchy subject. A lot of people feel very strongly one way or the other about Tesla, and a lot of people just love Tesla so much that they can't like any competitors and stuff, which that's understandable. But the main thing is that Lucid could end up being a pretty good company in the long term, and hopefully they end up pulling like an NIO. Even like if they could become as good as NIO, I think it could end up being pretty good. But I'm with you. They do have very expensive cars right now. And, one thing that kind of came into my mind is I know it's just a Lucid Air, but, there is lots of other expensive car companies like Ferrari and stuff like that. And obviously those cars are a lot cooler than Lucid Airs. But either way, it's a really touchy subject. But I think Lucid could end up being good in the long term. And the good news is that hopefully they end up coming out with some cheaper cars. And I know that they've talked about that a lot, which is, I think maybe part of the reason why they're starting to go up now is maybe because they're starting to come out with these $70,000 options and, different ones like that.
Well, I know that Bentley came out and they said that like by 2026 they're expecting their entire range to be made up of electric vehicles or electric and then plug-in hybrid vehicles. So, there's other car companies that, are known for luxury that are, shifting into the EV space. So I know Lucid is kind of focusing more on luxury than, rather than that like super like simplistic look like Tesla's, like especially on the inside. So I don't know. It's definitely an interesting subject, and if you guys have any input on this, definitely let us know in the comments down below, or the live chat, I should say, because I'm actually curious to hear. So good stuff there. And then looking back at the market really quickly, we're starting to see it pop back up. Apple's popping, Microsoft's making a decent recovery. And, we're just starting to see a little bit of a shift. But out of everything, I'm really, really liking this movement on Boeing.
Yeah, Boeing's actually having a really nice move back up, like you said. And if they could break that 228 or 228.60 level from Monday, that could make for a nice move back to the upside. And man, they're really bouncing off of 220 so nicely back up. And it's looking like a pretty nice move to the upside. It's bouncing really well. And the good news is a lot of these other airlines are moving up as well. And I feel like AAL, CCL, and just that whole sector has kind of been helping Boeing back to the upside also. But, they're really leading the charge in a way. They're up 4.5%. And hopefully I think they might be kind of going up with the SPY even too. Like they're helping the SPY really get up today while a lot of these tech stocks have, not helped too much. So it's just, it's definitely been a good turnaround for Boeing. And I'm glad to see it because, man, for a couple days last week, I got pretty worried that Boeing was going to really fall out of that range it was in and start to fall out to the downside. But I'm so glad it held support and came back up. And like we said, it was a great time to buy shares down there around that 210 level. So hopefully some people, really took that opportunity because it's starting to pay off pretty well.
Gotcha. And then we have Iran saying Aapl is moving nice. So ATVI, I've actually been looking to pick this one up for the long term.
Yeah, I actually really like this one too, Mike. And it bounced right off that like bottom support level around $72 where it hit in the past. And that's a pretty nice bounce. And, they have that new game coming out in like the next month or two. So that'll be awesome to see the new Call of Duty come out, and hopefully that'll help Activision. I know last year, I talked about this a lot, but see how like they started to dip down in August, September, October, then that new game came out and kaboom, Activision flew right up. And that might be what happens this time. It might not, but the good news is that game's coming out, and if they have some good pre-order numbers or something like that, it generally boosts the stock up pretty well.
Awesome to see. So Neo's also making a nice recovery today, up almost 2.5% after a pretty bad day yesterday.
Yeah, that was a pretty bad day yesterday, and it actually recovered up so well today. I'm glad to see it back up around this $36 level. Hopefully we can get back up above that. But man, that was a pretty bad move. NIO had yesterday. And also, guys, let me know in the chat if you guys all had Thinkorswim problems. I'm sure you did, but man, look at this lucid chart, or Neo chart in the middle of the day yesterday. I don't know what happened with Thinkorswim or what, but a lot of stocks just lost a lot of data for like a few minutes there in the middle of the day. So kind of strange to see. But if anyone has any input on that, definitely let me know in the comments down below. But I mean, looking at Neo, if we can break 36, Mike, I think that could make for a nice move back up. And I don't know like what happened yesterday with them. It might be that Evergrande situation. That's what they were talking about in the news a little bit. But I really hope that this one can recover back, and hopefully that China news stays away.
All right, so what are you thinking with good old AMC? I know this one has been kind of I don't want to say like ignored, but it just doesn't have any hype like it had a couple months ago. Like I know there's still a lot. I know it still has a pretty loyal following, but I'll say that the hype has definitely died down.
Yeah, it really has died down a lot. And, I will say on my chart, I'm seeing some pretty bad technicals out of AMC that I actually haven't seen in quite a long time. And we're actually falling below the 100 SMA for the first time in quite a long time, actually, ever since almost the beginning of 2021. So that's a pretty crazy thing to see. And, we have bounced off of it twice now before we finally had this move below it. And I could really see this one end up falling down right now. I hate to say that, but it's not looking good. It's falling below technicals. I was loving it on that 30 support. I thought that was an awesome play up, how people were playing that off that double bottom at 30. I think that was a great time to get in, but now I think it's kind of in that more downswing scenario, and I think we might head back down towards that 30 support. So that's my personal thoughts on it. I know it might not be the most popular opinion in the world, but I'm sure a lot of people don't like AMC anymore. I'm sure a lot of people lost money on this one, and just looking at it, it's just it's starting to look pretty bad off the technicals. So that's my main reasoning. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean it's fading off, Tom, and I would say the biggest problem with Wall Street bets today is that they used to only focus on 1 to 2 stocks, maybe 3 stocks, but there's a new hot stock every single day on Wall Street bets. And what that ends up doing is instead of having one huge short squeeze like with AMC or GameStop or a different stock, we see a bunch of little pops every week and they end up fading, and it really just hurts themselves actually. So, with that being said, and with the current state of, I guess you could say like retail traders or Wall Street bets, like it's a losing strategy. You know what I mean? Like finding like a new hot stock every day, it doesn't work. And I feel like as long as it stays like that, I feel like AMC will just struggle until something changes, or we just need like a catalyst or something to kind of kickstart back that momentum.
Yeah, definitely. And one of those kind of examples today is going to be like GREE. Lots of people are probably hopping into this. And Mike, what did you say this was the old ticker of?
Yeah, so this used to be SPRT.
Yeah, SPRT. Yeah, that was a pretty big runner in its day. And man, look at the momentum it's having today. I'm sure Wall Street Bets is, having a heyday with this one. But then again, like Mike said, we're taking away from that AMC volatility. And that's just, it's not good to see. People need to really, I think, stick with one in that type of group. But, obviously it's going to be hard. There's so many people in that group. And who knows, there might be even hedge funds, making alt accounts in that group going in there trying to get people to buy other stuff. Like I have no idea what's really going on, but I'm sure there's lots of weird stuff going on behind the scenes that we don't even know about.
Yeah, but like I can run through the list of like a couple stocks that are like pretty notable over like the past couple weeks, like TMC. I remember looking at Wall Street Bets the other day, and everyone was hyping this one up so much. It had like one good green day. It went from like 10 to, you could say 15, and now it's less than 5. So that one got smacked. You could look at another one like OPAD. This one actually had a pretty good run. It went from like 10 to 21 and then all the way right back down. And that's just, one example. We could go to IRNT, which is another one. This one's actually still elevated, but, we're definitely late in the trend. And then we even have another one, Tom, NEGG. This one had a crazy run up, went from like 10 up to 79 and, just slowly faded off. So, I don't know. They just got to get their, they got to act as one, and then you'll see pops like AMC and GameStop.
Yeah, definitely. And this stock NEGG, is actually like a decent like computer company like slash like website. And, I was really surprised to see them pop this one up. But yeah, I mean, they just need to stick to one thing and just stick to what's going on there. And, AMC, it might get that type of momentum like it's having this morning, but, it's not going to have those huge explosive moves that everybody wants until some big catalyst or something like that comes out with it, or something obviously has to happen to draw everybody back in again. And I don't know what that'll be, but maybe it'll happen in the future. But I don't know. I'm not sure if I see that happening again or not. But hopefully it does for everybody's sake, because I know lots of people are still holding it for the long term, and hopefully it goes up for everyone. But these stocks can be really, really risky, guys, and this is why Mike and I, we really like to preach to trade safer stocks. And I know it's always fun to see 1,000% gains and stuff like that. But, whenever you're trading stocks like Apple and Microsoft and Boeing and, even stocks like Neo and RUN and stuff like that, they're just a lot safer than these type of hype stocks. Those hype stocks can really go up and down quick. And, we like to be honest with everyone. So it's a lot safer to trade these other ones. And honestly, like if we're not making money trading AMC, we're not going to lie to you and sit here and tell you to buy it all day long, like some of these people are. We'll just tell you the truth and tell you what we trade.
For sure. And then, Tom, let's take a look at Tesla really quickly. It's breaking out.
Yeah, look at that. Tesla's moving. Do you think it can break 800 soon? It's actually getting pretty close to that, Mike. Man, it's having a big return back up there, and I'm really hoping to see a nice break, Mike. I know we had that nice news come out Sunday night with that self-driving beta that they had coming out, and I hope that really helps them go up. It has a lot of momentum right now, and man, I'm not sure we'll be able to break 800 today, but I'd love to see it sometime this week.
All right, and then we have Edwin saying, I traded Netflix, but his buy fill price was horrible due to E-Trade problems. So, yeah, I know that there was definitely problems with Thinkorswim yesterday, and I wouldn't be surprised if other brokers had the same thing. And then we have Ken saying, what happened to SPCE yesterday? So, I'm not sure. I wasn't really following it too much. Looking at the chart, they definitely got smacked. Did you see any major news, Tom?
I actually did not, but I didn't see any new news for this one, but that was just a bad break to the downside for them. They obviously broke that key support around like $24, and it was just a bad move down. It was just unfortunate to see for SPCE, and they had those share offerings and stuff a while ago, and yeah, I'm even looking through the news right now, and I'm not seeing anything crazy yet. So I don't know. There's not anything too big going on, but I feel like for the long term, this company could end up doing decent, but I feel like some of these other space companies that end up coming out will end up doing a little bit better. And I'm honestly like for the whole space sector, my main thing is I'm waiting for space mining companies. Whenever we finally see those come out, I think that's going to be where I start throwing a lot of my money into the market at. But, I think that'll be obviously a lot of years down the road. But for me, I mean, space mining, I think is going to be where the money's at eventually.
All right. And then we have Keisha saying, man, look at that recovery in EA. Did you guys get some of that action? No, but I'm definitely looking to get into it. I know I might be a little bit late for the like a momentum play, but I'll probably sell some puts on it.
Man, you're right. Man, we should have got in this one. That was a really good recovery. Wow. If I would have remembered this one, I definitely would have hopped in, but so many stocks going through. This is a pretty good recovery back. And I know they had that bad move down whenever they delayed their Battlefield game, and man, it's coming right back up. And I feel like that game's going to make them do pretty well this year. I wish I would have bought that dip, but wow, that's a great recovery. And I would say if that game does well, it could obviously, I think it could end up breaking 150, but that game's going to have some pretty good news in the beginning stages. But man, that's a great move back. But just keep in mind, we are getting close to resistance now. So I don't know. We'll have to see a good breakout above 150, I think, to see a big run or anything.
Alrighty. Then we have Kathy saying, CHPT support and resistance, please. Thank you for all your help. So, of course, and it's not looking too bad, Tom. What do you have for us?
Yeah, I actually really love this stock. There's a great support down here around $20. It's bounced there a lot in the past. And I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the 5th time. So hopefully we can get a nice recovery back to the upside. I'm seeing a small resistance here, right around $23. The main one I'm going to watch, though, is 25. And then after 25, I'm looking at like 26 to 27. But, It's I would say somewhere around 25 would be the next one to look for over the next couple weeks or the next couple days. But I love this recovery off this support, Mike. This is a great move back. And I would really think that for the longer term, if this support holds up, we could see a pretty nice recovery out of CHPT, especially with that infrastructure bill coming out. If that ends up getting passed this week and stocks like CHPT, RUN, BLNK, if they all get that funding that people have been talking about, I could really see CHPT and a couple of these stocks starting to fly up.
There we go. And then let's take a look at SPCE really quickly. We have Jorge getting some great news from this. So, or great resource, I should say. So
awesome.
Seems like SPCE fell because Star Trek star William Shatner is in talks to head into space on Jeff Bezos's Blue Origin rocket. And then this would make him the oldest person ever to fly to space, and he would have chosen Blue Origin over Virgin Galactic. So great resourcing, Jorge, and definitely makes sense.
Yeah, and I will say personally, like, I don't know how you feel about this, Mike, but I will say, Virgin Galactic is pretty cool in the way they go to space and stuff like that. But I'll be honest, like that Blue Origin rocket to me, I think that that's a little bit cooler to be on than the way SPCE does it. I don't know if anyone knows how Virgin Galactic does this, but the way that they go to space is that they kind of they fly like an airplane, and they get really close to space, and then they end up having like a rocket launch from that airplane and then go through the atmosphere. And Blue Origin, I believe, actually launches from the actual ground, which is pretty cool. So I don't know. I think it's a lot cooler to do Blue Origin too. And if I was going to choose, that's probably what I would do too. And if that's what sent them down, then I mean, that's pretty bad news if everyone's going to start buying that. But I did hear talks a while ago, though, that Elon Musk was talking about going on Virgin Galactics. But well, I don't know. We'll have to see what's happening with that. But I know that Elon Musk was in talks, and I thought he even bought a ticket a while ago for Virgin Galactic.
Huh, that's pretty cool. So I'm not as I don't know as much about this space stuff as you, Tom. But I was just looking at like a couple pictures, and it looks like really cool. Like just everything you mentioned, like even with how Virgin Galactic goes about actually going to space. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. I'm actually getting some pictures here up of the Blue Origin rocket here, and if I can get this picture up in the new tab, here we go. We can see. Well, that's a small picture there, but you guys can see that this is what the rocket looks like. And the rocket has actually had a lot of people make fun of its shape. I'll just say that, but either way, it looks like a pretty cool thing for the future. And I will say a lot of people have been, I don't know about you, Mike, I've seen a lot of stuff lately about Jeff Bezos and Amazon, and a lot of people have been kind of harping on like these rich guys who like go to space for fun. I don't know if you've been seeing a lot about that lately, but I don't know. I think it's pretty cool that they're all going to space. And I think people have really been looking at that for a long time. And I'm really glad to finally see some innovation there. I think it'll be a really good thing for the future.
Yeah, I think it's really cool with everything. So I'm just excited to see like how much all these companies grow and innovate over the next couple of years, because I just know that, like you said, like it's definitely a growing industry. I think that we are quite a bit away from like seeing it like just like any random person just, oh, I'm gonna buy a ticket to space really quick, and like have like a nice weekend trip.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just think it's like really cool, and it's definitely a potential investment opportunity for me. I'm not looking to get into any specific stock now, but I'll definitely be paying attention for a potential like IPO with Musk's company.
Yeah, that SpaceX, if they could actually get onto the market, that would be a pretty big move. And the one thing that would worry me with that one, Mike, is it would probably do something like Coinbase or something did on their IPO or something. Like have some crazy exponential move to the upside, like with the insiders and everything before it came out. But man, that would be a crazy thing if SpaceX could get on the market. And honestly, guys, like right now, there's not too much. We have like ASTR, we have RKLB, SPCE. There's not too many like stocks out there right now. And like Mike said, in the future, I think there's going to be a lot more. Like I said, I'm kind of waiting for like the space mining companies. Obviously space travel is going to be a big thing too, but I feel like there's going to be lots of stuff like, of course, like satellite companies coming out in the future. And, there's going to be a lot of stuff that I think that there's just so much potential for this sector to grow that it's honestly mind boggling. And I think that it's really hard to process right now. Kind of, it's almost reminding me, Mike, of like the internet back in like the 1980s or like the 1970s. Like nobody understood, or nobody could even like think what would happen with stuff nowadays, like with cell phones and internet and video chatting, and even the way we're talking like this on YouTube. Like people never would have thought of this. So it's just it's a crazy thing. And I think that in space, it's kind of just that type of sector where people just, it's kind of far out there right now. And soon though, people I think will start to catch on, and more companies will come out every year.
Awesome to see. So I was looking into it. Elon Musk said that he's definitely looking to take SpaceX public, or Starlink, and he just said he's probably a couple years away. So that's interesting to see. But either way,
Yeah, I wonder how much that'll be worth when it comes out.
yeah, like I definitely agree with you. Like I feel like there's gonna be so much hype built into it already, where it might be tough to get it at like a good valuation.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean it can't still rise though. Like it
True.
definitely still has a chance. And I know the cool thing is that SpaceX, they're set to really grow. Like obviously like they want to go to Mars and stuff like that. Like they're not just flying a rocket to space for testing or anything. Like Elon Musk has some pretty good ambitions. So that's the good news, is that over the next like 20 years, that could end up being pretty good.
Alrighty, so then we have Jorge saying MMAT going at it again. So I was just looking at it, up 5% on the day, and we are breaking out.
Yeah, we are actually. That's a great move. And I know you talked about this one just a little while ago, Mike, and they were having a pretty bad move at open, but they really turned it back around. And this is a great momentum, or a great move, I should say, right back up through that high yesterday and everything. And wow, I mean, just what a rocket ship out of MMAT. I don't know if Wall Street Bets is starting to catch on again, but I mean, this stock has a lot of momentum, Mike. And I would say this one has one of the better setups out of almost any of the other stocks I've seen today.
Yep. All right, and then we have Alex saying, "Awesome, stocked up on Mars. Bring it." Love to hear that. And then Vicky said, "Perfect example." Tom Ken saying, "DXY is very strong today." So $ DXY, it's definitely popping off. It's up like 0.5% or so. Another thing to keep in mind is gold is actually falling a little bit. We have GLD down like 0.3%. So that kind of sucks to see, but. Oh wow, silver's getting smacked, Tom. Look at SLV.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, silver slash SI. Sorry, I went to the silver futures, but yeah, SLV is getting smashed, and I don't know what's going on. I know that I will say that that dollar price going up plays a really big role in these metals, but man, this is not good to see with these metals going down. And I don't know why SLV is getting killed so much more than gold, but wow, I mean, silver's starting to really fall off. And man, if silver starts to get down, if it starts to get a lot lower, I mean, I might start looking at buying silver pretty soon, because it's
Yep,
starting to get pretty far off those all-time highs now.
for sure, for sure. So, Tom, do you have any last-minute stocks or anything you're watching for the rest of the day?
I'm still really eyeing up Tesla today. We're having a pretty good recovery back, and it looks like we're breaking that high of day right now. It's actually moving pretty well. Hopefully we can get back up towards that $800 resistance. I'd love to see a break of that to the upside. If we get rejected and we end up going down, then, maybe look at Tesla falling for the next couple weeks. But if we can break 800, I think that'll be a great recovery for Tesla. And who knows, the market might start popping up with that. And looks like the Spce is coming back a little bit. So for today, I'm honestly looking at a lot of stocks back to the upside. I'm still eyeing up Lucid as well. I know they had a great breakout. MMAT, which we talked about, had a pretty great move up recently as well. But I mean, honestly, like Boeing has a great move as well. I'm just going to be watching for a lot of stocks to continue these breakouts. And yeah, Boeing broke that high of yesterday finally, or I mean, the high of Monday.
Awesome, awesome. So thank you guys so much for joining today's stream. We had a great time talking about a bunch of different topics and everything. So thank you guys so much for joining, and have an amazing rest of your day.